Right, hello, another vlog. This is going to be sort of a continuation of the last one, but sort of different as well. Basically it's going to be me chatting about the first 2 days back at uni. Today, which is like the most important part of this, is I had my first mental health and disability lecture, and for some reason this lecture was on communicating with children, and it was quite emotional for me because I see myself as a child quite a lot, that my interactions are very childlike, my communication can be very childlike, and how I see the world and how I interact with the world is quite childish. But yeah, she actually said something really quite interesting, which is unusual for her. She was talking about how teenagers often revert back to acting how they were like how they did when they were 3 or 4. And it's like all to do with their like temporal lobe just going mental, and how like people that have severe whiplash or are in car or motorbike injuries, like I don't know if you know, but your brain is like right forward and it just sits on a bone in your nose, and if that bone breaks because you've had whiplash, your sort of brain like gets stabbed onto it, so like the temporal lobe is damaged, and like a lot of people with brain injuries can't control their emotions. Sort of they'll be really angry at the smallest thing, like much like a child, a very young child, and that's how I am quite a lot of the time. That the smallest thing will just send me into a proper rage. I'll be seething, or I'll be really upset, or various other things. And it's quite hard because, I can see myself as a child, and she's talking about it as like, this is how teenagers act, and this is because, their temporal lobe like detaches itself from the brain, not literally, but then it's all rewired to learn how to see the world in an adult way, and it kind of upset me and hit home a bit, that's what happens at your teenage years, but I'm still like that, and I'm 26, pretty much nearly 27, 12th of March, don't forget. I like socks, maroon, biscuits and meerkats. I would post my address, but there's some weirdos on Twitter. So it's quite upsetting knowing that I'm the same way that I was when I was 17, 10 years later. Is it anything ever going to be any different? Will I ever change? Will I ever have that rewiring sorted out, or is it just a case of having therapy and learning how to cope with it, and learning that, accepting like I would if I only had one leg, that I'm just going to have to adapt to life to sit around that. But the thing is with lectures is that, it's a lecture, and even, a seminar, it's an educational experience. We're learning this for practice, so we know how to communicate with children. It's not a therapy session. It's not for me to say, oh, well, I find this really difficult. But sometimes I do, but like I'll say, oh yeah, I worked with this person, and they had this problem, what do you suggest, type thing. And this time I did it, we were talking about silence, and the effects of silence and stuff, and I hate it. I hate especially if I'm talking to someone, especially like a mental health professional or a doctor or whatever, if silence happens, then I presume I've done something wrong, or I don't understand the rules of communication, and I'll automatically jump to the negative. Yeah, so that's not good. But also, like raising it in a lecture, even though obviously I said it was about these teenagers that I work with, you know, it's wrong because I'm not there to become cured. I'm there to learn how to do a job and how to communicate with children that, you know, I don't like damaged, that word. Children that are having a hard time, or children with their own mental health problems and attachment issues, you know, so yeah. And then she went on to say, you really need to, generally to the whole lecture, but she was looking at me at the time, to get issues and problems, etc. from your childhood sorted before you start to practice, because otherwise you won't be looking after yourself and bad things will happen, which is probably true, but also it's like, then she just said, oh yeah, do some CBT and it'll all be fine, and I just thought that was incredibly over. Oh, I look very fat today. It's because I'm wearing men's clothes. Obviously men's clothes aren't fitted for fat women. Yeah, so yeah, I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, CBT. I hate CBT. Apologise if there are any, well actually I don't, you're a bunch of fucking crooks. CBD practitioners watching. I equate CBT as sending a packet of crisps to a starving child in Africa and expecting that to cure their famine. It's ridiculous. It's a waste of time. It's overprescribed. It's just shocking, and it just blames the person for everything. I think other people might have some other ideas. Yeah. So excuse me. What else were we talking about? Oh yes. And we spoke about, like, on our degree we do a lot of group work, and I can't stand it. I don't like people. I don't like working with people. Yeah, and we were talking about like positives and negative experiences of being communicated with or at as a child, and I thought of one when I was involved with CAMS, which is Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service, and it was that I was kicking off, as I am one to do, calling the therapist stupid, etc, etc. She didn't know what she was talking about. No one ever does, apart from me. I'm an expert on everything, but she didn't know what she was talking about. She's a fucking idiot, etc, etc. And it was quite, I don't know, yeah, so I was doing that, and she kept saying, you know, what's behind this, why are you feeling like this, and why, and, you know, I was getting more and more mad, because I didn't understand why. I don't understand why, still, why I behave the way I do, you know, and that was my negative experience. And then I had another negative experience that I shared. Like, you gotta understand, you know, I'm not arrogant, well I am arrogant in a sense, but like, I'm quite intelligent, always been like a grade A student, you know, really achieved quite well academically, but other than being a Prime Minister, I've never really had great academic, or whether you have to be academically gifted to be Prime Minister is another contentious point, but anyway, other than that, I've never really had high educational aspirations. I've never wanted to do a master's, PhD, whatever. And I was talking about the future with my mum when I was younger, and I said, I want to go to university. And despite me doing 2 A-levels early, or 2.5 A-levels when I was 15, I said, you're not university material, you'll end up doing a Mickey Mouse degree, and what's the worth of that type thing. And it really stuck with me, and I guess it shows how important our childhood experiences of communication, of attachment, of everything, things that you can't even remember happening, like being born and how much physical contact you have with your mother. I don't know whether I'm unusual, but I can't remember anything from being a baby. Don't really have any memories before 8 years old, and they're very few. So I don't know, I'm just rambling a bit. But also, I stopped my sertraline, but I took it again this morning because I was feeling really paranoid last night and stuff. Took it this morning, and our group are quite disrespectful in the fact that they'll talk over lecturers, etc. And these girls were whispering, and I was absolutely convinced they were whispering about me. They probably were because they don't like me, but I feel like I'm getting really, really paranoid again, and it's a really bad place for me to be, paranoia. I hate it. I get so paranoid and stuff, and I have these thoughts that St Andrews are going to find out everything is a lie, and that I haven't had the experiences that I've had. I don't feel the way I feel, which is ridiculous because it's not a lie, but I don't know. I guess it comes back down to that no one wants to help, no one can help, I'm hopeless. Yeah. But also, I get asked quite a lot by mental health professionals, what do you want us to do, what do you want? And I want to go to the retreat on the ACORN programme. I'll probably talk about more about that another time. But they're like, well, you can't until you've tried St Andrews. So to me, it's like I'm given, it's like not patronising, I can't think of the word. I don't know, it's like asking a child a question, what do you want for tea, when actually you've already decided that it's going to be egg and chips or whatever. It's, what's the point? You're asking me what I want, but you're not taking anything on board. You don't really care what I want, it's just a tokenism, that's it, it's tokenism, to make me feel like I'm involved, but really, how involved am I? Do you care? Type thing. That's very worries me. But yeah, so that's that. Yeah, I had more things that I wanted to say, but I can't think of them now. I'll probably do another vlog this evening because at 3:15 I have my first human development lecture or seminar. No, it is a lecture, and that module is going to be fucking impossible for me because it's all about attachment theory, personality theory, disturbance in that, and later mental health problems, etc. Yeah, so I'd actually be really grateful if you are mental and follow me on Twitter, or just subscribe to this vlog. If you could leave, if it's not too painful, or message me whether you did have disturbances in former relationships with your parents and then turned out mental, or your childhood was great and you turned out mental anyway, or, you know, whatever. You don't have to, obviously, I can't make you. But yeah, the subject that I wanted to talk about has just popped back into my head. But it's about like my mum and bipolar and suicide and stuff, so probably save that for another time. So yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.